Indians got a tremendous effort from Corey Kluber, but the Tigers rallied in the ninth to steal victory from the jaws of defeat behind Alex Avila. Tonight, the Indians have their ace on the mound, Justin Masterson, who has been dominant his last three starts. He'll take on Tigers All-Star Justin Verlander as the Tribe tries to turn the page from last night's loss. Next on Sports Time Ohio. From Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland, it's Indians baseball. Tonight, the Tribe continues their four-game series against the front-running Detroit Tigers of the American League Central Division. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Let's get it out of the way. Last night's loss, devastating. The toughest loss of the year without question. Now the question is, can they bounce back? They're going to go up against Justin Verlander. Rick, he comes in as ERA 3.88. His ERA hasn't been this high in 5 years when he finished the season with an ERA of over 4. But he felt like he figured some things out in his last start, throwing his curveball, but he doesn't feel like he's got his fastball command yet.
Well, he's a little more human this year. The Indians are hitting 300 off him. He is 2-1 against the Tribe, though, but you can see he has a very high ERA, 5.82. They have beaten him 14 times in his career. Now, going up against Justin Masterson, he's been great since the All-Star break. .84 earned run average with 3 straight wins. This will be his third straight start where he's matched up against an All-Star, but Masterson has to use that fastball inside to go with that slider. He hasn't beaten Detroit this year. He is 0-2. He's looking for his first win, and they need him to go deep into the game tonight.
If ever they needed their ace to step forward and be that ace, tonight is the night, as Justin Masterson will try to pick the Tribe's spirits up, no doubt. A lot of people down in the mouth today, but the Indians still have a lot of fight left in them. It's round 2 of a 4-game series, and the play-by-play is coming up next. A beautiful night in downtown Cleveland. Indians and the Tigers, game 2 of their 4-game series. Tribe trying to slow down the runaway freight train that is Detroit. They've won 9 straight. They're 20 games over 500. They lead the Tribe by 4 games now in the Central Division. Justin Masterson will try to keep the Tigers offense at bay tonight, and let's look at the lineup he will be facing for Jim Leland's squad. Austin Jackson leads it off, followed by Torrey Hunter. Miguel Cabrera batting third. Then it's Prince fielder Victor Martinez, who had 3 hits last night. Don Kelly gets the start in left field, batting 6th. Then it's Alex Avila, the homer last night in the 9th, the difference maker. Jose Iglesias 8th, and Ramon Santiago 9th.
Justin Masterson making his 24th start this year, 13-7. This will be his 3rd straight start against an all-star. Coming up against Justin Verlander tonight, he is 13-7, a .333. He's been unbelievable since the break. 3-0 and a minuscule ERA. Now, he is looking for his first win against Detroit this year. He is 0-2. This year, 2-8 in his career. Let's check out the Kia Indians defense behind him tonight. It looks like this. Brantley in left, Bourne in center. Rayburn gets the start in right. Chisenhall at third, Cabrera at short. Kipnis at second, Swisher at first with Gomes behind the plate.
Phil Cuzzy behind the plate. Chris Guccione at first, Ron Culpa at second, the crew chief Tom Hallion down at third. Austin Jackson will step in and get us underway tonight. It's an Indians club. Did a lot of soul searching after last night's game. They had it 2-0 in the 9th with their closer on the mound, but Chris Perez coughed it up, and the Tigers won it 4-2. Michael Bourne afterwards said it was the toughest loss of the year. And he said, we'll see what we're made of coming back out here tonight. Justin Masterson delivers a first pitch strike to Jackson. 79 degrees, our game time temperature. Barely a breeze. Jackson fouls it back out of play. And the count quickly 0-2. As if the bad news of last night's late inning loss wasn't bad enough. Just a few moments ago before game time, more bad news for the Indians. Cabrera with a backhander. He'll throw out Jackson, 1 away. The injury report brought to you by Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio. Stunning news, really. Corey Kluber, 7 1/3 shutout innings last night, but just moments ago placed on the 15-day disabled list with a right long finger sprain. It's an injury similar to the one that Zach McAllister had. That kept him out about a month and a half. And so at this point in the season, that is pretty much a devastating injury for Kluber. Torrey Hunter fouls it off. With more on the injury to Corey Kluber, here's Katie Witham.
Well, Matt, I caught up with pitching coach Mickey Callaway as he was walking in from warming up Justin Masterson, and he pretty much told me exactly like you said. It's a middle finger sprain on his right hand. He actually did it on a curveball, his 3rd to last pitch of the game last night, and they're thinking it's going to be at least 4 weeks of missing Kluber.
Wow, that is tough because that takes you at least now through the first week of September, and perhaps even longer at that. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, how he responds to treatment.
McAllister missed about 6 weeks plus, didn't he?
In the interim, now the Indians have already called up Danny Salazar to start tomorrow night's game. I think it's pretty safe to say Salazar will be staying in the rotation to take the spot of Corey Kluber now. The 1-2 pitch bounced towards second base. Ramon Santiago will throw him out 2 away. Keys to the game brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. Masterson, get him deep. And if you get some mistakes from Justin Verlander, don't miss him. Yeah, Verlander has been human at times this year.
Well, yes, he has. And they've had success against him. I think it's more important for Justin Masterson to continue to pitch well against the Tigers and keep them down all night.
Slowly chopped. That might stay fair. It will. And Chisenhall still throws him out because Cabrera stopped running. He was lumbering down the first base line. Almost a half jog. The Tigers go 1-2-3. And the Indians are coming to bat. of the first inning. And we'll take a look at the Indians starting lineup. It's brought to you by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Michael Bourn, Nick Swisher, Jason Kipnis at the top. Then it's Dribble Cabrera, followed by Michael Brantley. Carlos Santana, 1 for 4 last night with a double, will DH. Then Ryan Rayburn, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Yan Gomes.
Justin Verlander on the mound for the Tigers. His 24th start, 11-8 at 388. You can see 147 hits in 143 and 2/3 innings. That's the first time since 2006, his rookie year, that he's given up more hits than innings pitched, and that's to this point. 56 walks, so he has been a little more human this year. He has beaten the Tribe twice this year. He's 2-1, but his ERA is up there. It's 5.82, and the Indians are hitting .311 off him this year.
Michael Bourn, 0 for 4 last night, will lead it off. And the pitch is up high for ball 1. I mentioned Miguel Cabrera in his first at bat. Didn't make much of an effort going down the line. They tried to bunt on him a couple of times last night at third base. We'll see if Bourn again looks that way here tonight at all. Right now he's got the count in his favor, 2-0. Fastball fouled back. You know, Verlander has been so good for so many years. Just goes to show you, even the great ones go through periods of struggle in this game. He said in his last start he figured some things out with his breaking ball, but he said, boy, I just haven't had a real good feel or command of my fastball, and I've lost some velocity there, and he's still a work in process.
You know, velocity for him is still in the mid-90s. To where some people, now the times I've seen Verlander, and I can't say this for every start this year, but when he has pitched against the Indians, to me he's gone to more changeups, more sliders than his fastball, and sometimes you can lose that extra giddy up on your fastball when you're not throwing it as much as you once did.
Pretty good argument going on right now. Michael Bourn is telling Phil Cuzzy that last pitch was not a strike. Carried on there for quite a while. You can see both of them animated. Verlander started into his windup and stopped. Now the 2-2. And Bourn drives one toward right center field. Torrey Hunter can't make the play. Short hops it. And Michael Bourn is aboard with a leadoff single.
That away, and nice job. He tried to throw the heater by him inside, and Bourn was ready for it. And he got, didn't hit it. I mean, it didn't stay up enough. Hunter got a good jump on it. He wanted to come in and try and make a catch. He's going to have to backhand it, though. Good effort. Base hit for Bourn.
So the Tribe's leadoff man aboard here in the bottom of the first as Nick Swisher comes to the plate. Swisher 0 for 3 last night.
We know that Verlander's very quick to first base. For a big guy, quick feet, tough to run on. And he has like the jump spin move.
Yeah, he does.
That's very close to a balk.
Indians didn't get their leadoff man aboard at all in last night's game. They relied solely on the 2-out RBI hit to scratch out their 2 runs against Anibal Sanchez. I'll tell you what, they've had a lot of success against Verlander this year, though, as you look at that stat, 14 out of 16. Bourn has been picking up the pace. He's up to 16 steals on the year, and as he has said, look, they're paying a lot of attention to me, and if they're paying a lot of attention to me, that's less attention they're paying to the hitter.
Well, it's always good, and we've seen the Indians have success here this year, and a lot of times when you get that starter in the stretch out of the first hitter in the first inning, you're putting them in a situation. They like to get into a rhythm before they get out of that stretch. So they're going to have to get into game form early in that first inning when they're out of the stretch from the first hitter. This is one of the few guys we've seen this year that when you get to guys to third base and you have 2 outs, he'll go out of the full windup.
Yes, absolutely.
He's not the one that stays in the stretch because he loves to pitch out of the full windup, as most pitchers should.
2-1 count for Swisher. And a swing and a miss at a pretty good fastball from Verlander. 2-2.
Yeah, that's the pitch you have to lay off, that elevated fastball above the belt. Normally he doesn't throw his fastball at 96 early in a game, but he's dialing it up there now. Usually it's 90, 91 until he gets into a little groove, but when you get base runners, it changes. That adrenaline starts to flow.
And he just threw it right by him. He reared back, picked up 97 miles an hour that time. 1 away. Well, we mentioned before, last night was a very tough loss in that Tribe clubhouse. Katie Witham, what's the mood? What's the temperature?
Well, Matt, Jason Kipnis said knowing that they played 8 innings of very good baseball makes it easier for the Indians to bounce back today. And the fact that they put up 2 runs on a very good pitcher in Anibal Sanchez shows them that they can match up with the Tigers as good as anyone can and can be there with them in the end. The key today, Matt, is to have a short memory.
Yeah, the key is to finish.
Well, that's the one thing you have to do against the Tribe. You have to score runs because their offense is so good. You've got to pitch with their pitchers. Their starters are the best in the league when it comes to ERA, and overall they are second in the league in ERA. It's a tough team, and offensively they can score. So you're going to have to score right there with them.
Down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Tigers talked afterwards last night about how it was a big win for them because of everything they had to deal with earlier before the game, with the suspension of Johnny Peralta becoming public, having to answer the questions from the media and talk about it. Missed down low, 2 balls and a strike. Jim Leyland really respects what the Indians have done here. He'll tell anybody that will listen that this is still a very dangerous club, and a lot of people think that that's just lip service, but that's really how he feels. Grounded right at Miguel Cabrera. He goes to second. There's one on to first. A double play ends the inning. No score after 1 here in Cleveland. Ball is brought to you by McDonald's, now introducing 3 exciting new Quarter Pounders, and by Kia. No score, second inning. Prince Fielder will lead off for Detroit. Fielder started the trouble in the 9th inning last night with a leadoff double, the only hit he had in 5 at-bats. And it was just inside that left field line.
Well, Kluber did such a good job last night of staying ahead of most of the Tiger hitters. You know, 0-2, 1-2 counts where he was able to get him to swing at his pitch. They didn't hit with runners on base. He got his hit. He was ahead in the count 2-0.
If you missed it at the top of the telecast, Corey Kluber placed on the 15-day DL. A sprain of the middle finger on his pitching hand. Got to imagine, Rick, that Chris Antonetti and his guys will be scouring the waiver wire this month. And the off chance that, you know, a pitcher that might be able to help them reaches them in the waiver process, that could be a possibility to help the club. But obviously those deals are a little tougher to consummate during this period.
Especially when teams know that you're looking, you need that pitcher, then, you know, they have you in a situation where they try and make you overpay.
Or somebody can block you. They can put a claim in on a guy and block him from getting to you in the waiver process. In the meantime, Danny Salazar, who will start tomorrow, you can look for him to probably stay in the starting rotation. 3-2 pitch. Chopped foul. How long he'll be in the rotation is anybody's guess. You know, he's probably got an innings threshold that would potentially keep him from pitching the rest of the year, but who knows?
Yeah, you never know. Right now, you fill it one start at a time.
Yeah.
I know Josh Tomlin's going out and making a start tomorrow, and he's going to pitch 2 innings in Double-A. Now, that's a start. Now, whether he's going to be ready for big league action, who knows?
He could be, maybe by the end of the month. Our great clip of the game from last night, Corey Kluber. Boy, what a performance he turned in. Afterwards, Torrey Hunter said that guy was filthy, man.
Yeah, he was. The 13, 0-2, 1-2 counts. He didn't give up a hit with a runner on base. He did a really a great job. People say, well, why didn't you leave him in there? Well, now we find out why he wasn't left in there, because he did that, 3 pitches prior to coming out of the ball game when he threw his last curveball.
How unfortunate, though, that this has happened to 2 pitchers in the same starting rotation in 2 months' time.
Yeah, that's a rarity.
Victor Martinez had 3 hits last night.
If anybody can tell Kluber anything, it's a guy on his right, because he just went through it.
I'm sure they've already talked about it. Wow, that was a pretty good-looking pitch, 2-0.
All right, well, we're starting out differently tonight, because in every at-bat last night, Martinez was down in the count 0-2. 4 at-bats, and he ended up with 3 hits.
And the one he didn't get a hit on was probably the hardest ball he hit all night.
It sure was.
Three 3-0 the count after walking Fielder. Masterson now 3-0 to Martinez. Of course, these two guys were traded for each other when Martinez went to Boston. Masterson came to the Indians. There's a strike, and it's 3-1. Don Kelly waiting on deck. He's got pretty good confidence coming in against Masterson with the season he's had facing him. And he walked him. So back-to-back walks here in the second inning. Don Kelly earlier this year in Detroit.
This is a great ball game until that pitch right there. 2 men aboard, a 3-run home run. He picked that one up off the ground. That ball was in off the plate, down, so you know he's a good low ball hitter, so you may have to elevate it. But Masterson right now walking the first two guys. He's got to throw strikes.
Don Kelly's had 8 hits and 21 at-bats against Masterson, including that home run from earlier this year. That's why he gets to start tonight. Ground ball, it's by Swisher into right field. Charging is Rayburn, stopping his fielder at third, and the bases are loaded. Well, he got his ground ball, but Kelly continues the successful trend he's had against Masterson with a base hit into right field.
Well, and Swisher was off the bag, but it gets by him.
Last night, Alex Avila was a difference maker. He hit the 3-run homer in the 9th that put Detroit ahead 4-2.
Well, when Alex Avila goes that way and uses that part of the field, he's awfully tough. A left-hander, that ball was elevated. It was a fastball, and he had Perez had a tough time commanding that fastball last night.
He is hitting .302 in the second half, but those first half numbers were dreadful, and that's why his season batting average is still just below the Mendoza line. Our stat of the game brought to you by your Northern Ohio Buick dealers. Masterson 3 ground ball outs in the first inning. 2 walks and a bouncing ball single here in the second, and they're loaded up with nobody out. 2-0 to Avila.
He's having command issues right now. I don't know if he lost his arm slot. When you look at his 3 starts since the All-Star break, he's been 3-0, .84 ERA. He's had 4 walks and 23 strikeouts. Well, he has 2 walks to start this inning and a base hit, so he's having command issues with that heater.
Two-oh pitch. There's a sinker for a strike over the outside corner. Now he just needs Avila to beat one of those into the ground, preferably a comebacker. And Masterson is very good at fielding his own position. He has 20 assists on the year. He also has 17 putouts. And a foul ball runs the count even at 2-2.
This guy took one off each knee last night. Now he's going to start following them off his own feet.
Fielder at third, Martinez at second, Kelly, who runs well, at first. Michael Bourn shading Avila a bit toward left. He made a great running catch on a ball hit by Avila early in last night's game. It was a tremendous on the dead run catch in deep left center. Found out of play. Big spot early. Second inning, no score. Tigers have him loaded. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. Masterson gets his first K on the night, and it comes in a big time.
Let's look at this sequence here by Justin. Going up against Alex Avila. Slider in. He missed off the plate. Comes back with a fastball he pulled. Then he gets the one away. A nice little sinker away. Slider off his leg. Got another slider where he fouled it off. You see, that slider may be a little harder than normal. It's not. It doesn't have the tilt yet. And we've seen a couple of times where it's usually taken him 2 innings. Maybe he gets it in the third where he finally gets the tilt.
Jose Iglesias takes low and away for ball 1.
That slider has been on the same plane. Usually he has been having very good tilt to it. He's a ground ball away from getting out of this inning, though.
Iglesias 1 for 4 last night. He's batting .200 since he came over to Detroit. And there's a strike to even the count of 1-1. Iglesias knows he'll be the everyday shortstop now, with Johnny Peralta suspended for pretty much the remainder of the season. The 1-1. 2 balls and a strike.
He's really trying to throw the good hard slider. Maybe just overthrowing it a little bit instead of nice, free and easy and getting on top of it.
There's a good sinking fastball with that tremendous movement. And it's 2-2 now. Watch this ball just dart.
Yeah, look at that. There's the movement you get down and in where you have to dig it out. That's on our Nissan pitch tracker. Going down and in. That's the effective pitch, and that's where you're going to have to throw a lot of these Detroit hitters.
The 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. He chased a slider 2 down. Masterson with back-to-back strikeouts in the clutch.
Well, that fastball sinker in set this pitch up away. He's looking for something he can just slap the other way, trying to get that run in from third, but that ball is off the plate for a ball. You can't go out there after that pitch before. Inside, now he's 1 out away from getting out of it.
Now, Ramon Santiago is a dead slap hitter. Last night he punched a couple of base hits into left field. And that's why he runs it inside to push him back off the plate a little bit. Bounce toward Cabrera at short. He'll shovel to Kipnis. The inning is over. The Tigers load him with nobody out, and they do not score as Masterson slams the door. No score, bottom of the second. As Drupal Cabrera, Michael Brantley, and Carlos Santana due up here for the Tribe. Good job by Justin Masterson to pitch out of a tough spot.
Yeah,
in the top half of the second.
He had to work hard, 26 pitch inning, but he got out of it.
As Drupal Cabrera looks at ball one up high. He shortened the bunt and took a strike. Cabrera drives one to deep right field. Hunter back on the track at the wall. Can't make the play. Cabrera into second base with a leadoff double. He scorched it to deep right field. Hunter went back on it but could not haul it in. And the Indians, for the second inning in a row, have their leadoff man aboard.
There was a nice quick swing by Asdrubal. Hit a line drive over the head of Torrey Hunter, who went back on his glove side. He just wasn't tall enough, and the ball was hit too hard. Cabrera's going to have his 24th double. You can see Hunter had a beat on it, but just gets over his glove.
Now Michael Brantley, who went 2 for 4 in last night's game. And he has been awfully good for the Indians with runners in scoring position all season long. Takes a strike here. Brantley, a .346 hitter when he has a runner in scoring position.
Well, Brantley has very good numbers against Verlander, too. 13 for 32, over 400.
Well, just against Detroit this year, he's hit a couple of home runs. Here's a base hit into left field. Cabrera will stop at third. Kelly's throw to Cabrera, the cutoff man, and the Indians have him at the corners with nobody out here in the second.
Boy, he stayed and kept his hands back nicely. Got a breaking ball. And even though it's a pull situation, he waited on that ball so long and just slaps it the other way. That's why he is a good hitter with runners on base. He doesn't try and do too much. He got a breaking ball away. He slaps it the other way. You move Cabrera up. You have runners at the corners, and back come the Indians with an opportunity to score.
And now Carlos Santana. He had an RBI hit in last night's ball game. It came with 2 outs. He's up to 291 on the year now with a runner in scoring position as he takes ball 1 outside. Back out of play, and the count evens at 1-1. Yeah, just 6 career hits, but you see 3 of them have left the yard. Outfield for Santana, straight away and deep. Chased one up high, 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
See, that's what I'm saying. He can crank it up. He's saying he's having problems with his fastball, but when needed, he can get it up to 97. But as a hitter, that's the one you want to make him bring it down a little bit. Everything else is change up and breaking ball. If they're up, get after it. But the fastball you have to get down a little below the belt.
Banged foul. Count stays a ball and 2 strikes.
But this is the fun thing when you watch good pitchers pitch, and we have a couple going at it tonight. When they get into trouble, they have the stuff to get themselves out of trouble. They know how to work hitters. They know how to set up hitters. They get the strikeouts when needed. Verlander has 139 on the season. Masterson has 162.
Verlander has led the American League in the last 2 seasons in strikeouts. He whiffed 250 batters 2 years ago, 239 strikeouts last year. The 1-2 downstairs, and a good block by Avila. Count back to even now at 2-2.
This is the one thing that Carlos does as good as any hitter on the Indians is when he is down in the count, he finds a way to get back into it. 2-2, 3-2, and even, you know, where that's why he draws so many walks. He has that ability. For sometimes you'll see him swing at pitches, and then when he gets to 2 strikes, he lays off them.
Bang to first. Fielder's got Cabrera hung up between third and home.
Getting the rundown. There you go. Go to second and third. Job well done by Asdrubal.
No, he did his job.
Yes,
right.
he did. That's all you can do right there on that play. You stay out of the double play, and if you go home, you get yourself in the rundown to get both your runners into scoring position. And you know what he did? He made Fielder hold the ball long enough where he never gave it up. Probably should have gave it up earlier. But he didn't go right at him, and that enables the runners to move up, and Cabrera did his job. You can see, tag me, I'm done. And now, job well done. Second and third, and they still have a chance to get him in.
That chance will fall now to Ryan Rayburn. Rayburn has been locked in since the end of June. He's batted .346 in his last 19 games. And against his former club, he'd love to deliver right here. Fouled back out of play.
All right, with one out, he's going from the stretch.
98 miles an hour that time from Verlander.
Well, this used to be his teammate. He knows Rayburn can hit the fastball, so he's got to dial it up a little bit.
There's the breaking ball to second base. That'll get the Indians the lead. Rayburn delivers a ground out RBI. Brantley comes home. 1-0 Cleveland. Rayburn with his 38th run batted in on the year. Santana moves over to third on the play, and there are now 2 down.
See, it won't show up in the box score, but getting in that rundown like Cabrera did pays off, and a ground out gets a run home for the Indians. So they'll play from in front again.
Lonnie Chisenhall steps in 0 for 3 last night. Popped him up. Foul ground. Avila over toward the Indians' dugout. Makes a catch, slides, and hangs on. And the inning is over. The Indians grab the lead. A leadoff double by Cabrera. Brantley singles. It leads to a run. 1-0 Cleveland. Top of the order for Detroit. Austin Jackson, Torrey Hunter, and Miguel Cabrera due up. Justin Masterson got out of a bases loaded. Nobody out jam in the second.
Yeah, they came right back. It was a 26-pitch inning in the second for Justin. But he got out of it, and then the Indians come back and score. So a nice turnaround.
Fouled back, it's 0-2. Swing and a miss, and Masterson has his third strikeout now on the night, and he struck out 3 of the last 4 batters.
That one had a nice tilt to it. Watch, he stays on top. Watch the downward action. Straight down. He didn't have that last inning. Everything was underneath, and he was sort of flat. He made an adjustment. That's the strikeout pitch we know.
Now Torrey Hunter, who bounced out to second base his first time up. Belt high fastball for a strike. Torrey Hunter, all-star this year for the 5th time in his career. Swung on and missed. And the count now 1-2.
Another good pitch. He's got a feel for it now.
Little topper foul. Stays 1-2.
I mean, that is the pitch that has separated Justin this year to years past, because now you have to cover as a hitter both sides of the plate with that sinker. He's throwing inside to right-handers, which sometimes can be unhittable, to covering that outside plate with the slider that's going down and away. Look at, he fouled that ball off his hip or his side, and it hurt. He can't believe it. Look at that. So
it's like, are you kidding me?
I know. While he goes out there, it was a sinker away. And that ball came right up, and it looks like it got him in the ribs or under the arm. Look at him. Look at the facial expression. Ouch.
Again, the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Masterson continues to mow him down. 2 gone in the 3rd.
Well, swing for the fences with the new Home Run Derby mobile game from MLB.com. It's available on iPhone and iPad, and you can download it free today.
Miguel Cabrera grounded to third, his first and only time up. And he rifles one by Swisher and into right field, a base hit.
Well, they want to go inside, and that ball stayed middle. And you can see what he's trying to do with it. The approach to Masterson, trying to stay inside the baseball. It's a great deal, because that protects you for that slider away. And he didn't make his pitch inside, and Cabrera got the single.
Prince Fielder looks at ball one outside. Fielder walked his only time up tonight. Ground ball right at Cabrera. He'll shovel it to Kipnis again, and the inning is over. We'll head to the bottom half of the 3rd. It's Cleveland 1, Detroit 0. reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. For the Indians here in the third, Yan Gomes to lead it off. Then the top of the order. Indians already 3 hits on the night against Verlander. Gomes has hit in 6 straight, going 14 for his last 22.
Yeah, last time it was down in Sunday in Miami. He had 3 knocks, swung the bat well.
Pops this one up. Shallow right, out goes Santiago. 1 away. Let's get a look at tonight's trivia question, brought to you by AT&T. And the last player to reach the 3,000 hit plateau with less than 500 strikeouts.
It's hard to do. I think you got to go back a ways. That's just my guess.
That's really knowing way too much if you know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Michael Bourn, base hit his first and only time up, takes. It's in there for a strike. Little tapper. Flip to first. 2 away. Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. Tigers starters in their last 9 games, they have been putting up some very, very impressive numbers. We talked about the role the Indian starters have been on. That's why they've been playing well. Same reason holds for Detroit. They've won 9 in a row. Nick Swisher struck out his first time up. Missed inside with it, 2-0. Way outside, 3 balls, no strikes. Top of the strike zone at best, and it's 3-1. Bounce towards second base, backhanded by Santiago, and the Indians go 1-2-3. After 3 innings, it's the Indians 1, the Tigers nothing. Beautiful night here at the Ball Yard. The Indians and the Tigers. Tribe with a 1-0 lead. Fourth inning. Victor Martinez, Don Kelly, and Alex Avila due up for Detroit. Justin Masterson has 5 ground ball outs, and he has struck out 4. He had a 1-2-3 first. Loaded the bases with nobody out on a couple of walks and a single in the second. Got out of that mess. Gave up 1 hit with 2 outs in the third. Now goes to work here in the fourth inning. Up and away, ball 1.
There
Inside
you go.
corner, a called strike.
Good pitch. That's where you have to make this guy conscious of. That inside part of the plate. Not that he can't hit that pitch in there, but you just cannot stay middle away. He can shoot you the other way and make it easy at bat. There you go. Another slider in, off the plate. Nailed with that fastball, and then he get him to swing at that pitch off the dish.
Bounce to first. And Nick Swisher will take it himself 1 away. Here's our AT&T U-verse rewind. Justin Masterson had him loaded with nobody out in that second inning after Don Kelly singled. Avila went down swinging. Iglesias chased the slider away. And then Santiago bounced to short to end the inning. What a job.
Yes.
To keep the Tigers off the board.
And then came out the next inning and found that slider, where he's been able to get good tilt on it.
A little bit off the plate. Good slider in there for a strike. And another base hit for Don Kelly.
For whatever reason, he has Justin Masterson's number. He's got a lot of confidence swinging against the big right-hander. That's his second hit, 2 out of the 3 hits for Detroit, and he's a good low ball hitter. I mean, that's part of it right there to begin with. He likes the ball down in the zone. When Justin puts it down there, he finds a way to hit a hole. 10 for 23. And this is a guy that doesn't play every day.
In the air, left field. Drifting back, Michael Brantley. He'll make the grab. Kelly back to first, 2 away.
Well, the Indians will host the Angels on Saturday, and fans will be treated to an encore Rock and Blast fireworks show. And the first 10,000 fans will receive a Rocky Colavito plaque giveaway, both courtesy of Progressive Insurance. So log on to Indians.com for the tickets.
Upstairs and ran in a little bit, knocking Jose Iglesias off the plate. Bounced that one off of his foot.
Well, he has that padding there. That one looked like it went off the spike. Well, how many times do you think we see replays of a game when Masterson's pitching of foul tips off batters' feet, shins, knees?
Well, you got to figure when he's on the mound and you're in the opposing clubhouse, the trainers for that team have to be well stocked in ice
they
after
order
that
extra
game.
a couple of buckets of ice before the game starts.
The 1-1. Swing and a miss. With Don Kelly taking his lead at first, he's held by Swisher. The 1-2 pitch to Iglesias. He reached for it, slowly tapped to short. Another flip from Cabrera to Kipnis, and the side is retired. Middle of the fourth, 1-0 Cleveland. Now on FoxSportsOhio.com. Corey Kluber has been the big surprise for the 2013 Indians. See why it's a good thing if Trent Richardson does not play for the Browns on Thursday night. And what does Urban Meyer see that is making him smile today? Complete coverage of all today's action involving Ohio sports on FoxSportsOhio.com. As we mentioned earlier, unfortunately, Corey Kluber, right before tonight's ball game, announced he is on the DL and potentially lost for the rest of the season. It all depends on how long it takes his sprained right long finger. Oh, we're starting to call it long finger now instead of the middle finger. I guess. Whatever. That's the finger that's sprained. And it took Zach McAllister roughly 6 weeks to come back from that. And we'll just have to wait and see. Everybody's rooting for Kluber. He's had a tremendous season. He's coming off an outing last night, 7 1/3 shutout innings against this Tiger lineup. But they'll have to do without him now for at least a month. Danny Salazar, who starts tomorrow night, figures to go into that spot in the rotation, as Chris Antonetti and his guys will, I'm sure, be scouring the waiver wire looking for any additional options they might come across. There's Salazar in the middle between Carlos Santana and one of the Indians' trainers. There's a pitch in for a strike to Jason Kipnis, who bounced into an inning-ending double play his first time up. The 2-2 fouled back out of play. The 2-2. And Kipnis a foul back.
Good at bat, man. He's pumping it up there. He's not messing around. That one got to 98. Kipnis fouled off 3 straight heaters.
Now Verlander backs away. Strike 3 called.
Well, he didn't give in.
97-mile-an-hour fastball. Second strikeout of the night for Justin Verlander, 1 down. And with more on Indians pitcher Danny Salazar, let's go downstairs to Katie Witham.
Well, an interesting side note on Danny Salazar, Matt, is his favorite baseball player is Tigers pitcher Justin Verlander. He told me in the clubhouse today it was going to be really neat to stand in the Indians dugout and watch him pitch today. Specifically, though, he's paying attention to the way Verlander attacks hitters and his pitch sequencing.
All right, thanks, Katie. And therefore, no, I guess it was not. 1 ball, 1 strike to Asdrubal Cabrera. Fouled back out of play. He's been amped up tonight. 18 pitches over the 95-mile-an-hour mark early here tonight, and a lot of times we'll see Verlander sit early in games 92, 93, and wait till later in the game to reach back for the high-octane fastball.
Well, he's making a difference. He said he found a little something different in his last start. Well, he's powdering. He's going all power in this inning, and he has 2 strikeouts.
Back-to-back Ks.
Well, the 2-night Rock and Blast Fireworks Spectacular will take place Friday and Saturday, as the Angels will be in town over the weekend, and fans will be treated to an expanded postgame fireworks display, and then we'll pay tribute to the Rolling Stones' 50th anniversary. It's presented by Kia, so log on to Indians.com and get your tickets.
There is Michael Brantley, who singled and scored the only run of this game in the 2nd inning. Starts him off with a breaking ball for strike 1.
If you remember, Brantley hit a curveball early in his first at-bat to get a base hit and send Cabrera over to third base, but he hung it. That was a good get-me-over curveball for strike 1.
Now, as Katie told us, for Danny Salazar, sitting over there in that dugout, knowing that he's going to make the start tomorrow in this series, and a chance to watch a guy who he's sort of looked up to as a young pitcher. That's a pretty neat deal.
Well,
and he's, you know, you look and think about, Danny Salazar, he's a power pitcher.
The game we saw him pitch, I want to see more, because he throws the ball hard, but he throws strikes.
Yeah.
And he moves it in and out, and he went fastball and changeups, and he did have a breaking ball, but I love him because he throws strikes, moves it in and out. And when you throw like he does, that's all you need to do. Command it.
Hit hard, and that skips into the crowd. right back. That was 99 miles an hour. And I think that's a... You know, maybe what he figured out with his fastball is I need to ramp it up a little earlier in the game instead of waiting on it.
Well, it could be. I'll tell you what, he's not messing around in this inning. He is bringing it.
Up high. Brantley able to lay off. 1-2 the count.
You know, if you wait around, this guy usually he waits till he gets to around the 90, 100 pitch mark. He can do it all game long if needed.
I think that was supposed to be a slider, but
yeah, 92.
He's
right.
He may be a little too pumped up right now.
That could be. You know, he never used to throw the slider. It was a fastball, changeup, curveball. He added that slider a couple years ago, and he mixes it in now. When he has a feel for that, you're in trouble.
Iglesias throws out Brantley. The Indians go 1-2-3, and all of a sudden, Justin Verlander has retired 9 in a row. Brought to you by the wireless receiver only from AT&T Uverse. Rethink possible. And by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. We roll on to the 5th inning here at Progressive Field. The Indians 1, the Tigers nothing. Ramon Santiago, the number 9 hitter, will lead things off. Then Austin Jackson and Torrey Hunter. Jackson 0 for 2 on the night. He has grounded out and he has struck out. Both pitchers on about the same pace so far here tonight. Masterson has struck out 4, Verlander 3. Difference in the ball game was a RBI ground out by Ryan Rayburn. But the key in that inning, as Rick pointed out at the time, is Drupal Cabrera gotten a rundown. He let a couple of runners move up. Well, he bunted that right into himself. Was he in the box or out of the box?
Let's see. Let's see if he bunted at it. Gomes does the right thing of grabbing the ball and tag him, but I don't know if they're going to call it and say he tried to bunt at it. They may have to get help from the third base umpire, but it got him on the knee. He went to bunt.
I thought he
get out of the way. No, watch. Let's see if he bunted at it. They're going to ask. Terry's going to come out and ask Phil Cuzzy to ask Tom Hellion down at third, and he's just sitting there. He may have bunted at it and have to come back. Did he go? Hold on.
Here comes Hellion.
They're going to talk. He wants to talk to him. Oh, they're saying no now. That's a late call.
Wow, that's terrible. He definitely offered at it.
Oh, I wasn't watching the video. I was watching those two guys coming in. I didn't see if he did offer at it, but he wanted to bunt it, and then he jumped out of the way, and it caught him in the knee.
I mean,
let's look right here.
That's an offer right there. That's
Well, that's close. That's real close.
Tigers get their leadoff man aboard for the second time tonight. Austin Jackson 0 for 2 on the night. Runner goes, and a pitch hit to left field, a base hit. Santiago's going to go all the way to third, and Brantley's throw into second base.
Well, they start. Detroit, as I mentioned last night, they're last in the league in stolen bases at 29, but Jim Leyland likes to start the runners. So he starts it with Jackson up there, and he hangs him a little slider, and he's ready for it, and he hits it. So they were able to go first to third. And now you're going to come into the meat part of the lineup. So they do the hit and run successfully, and they have a chance to tie the game now.
Hunter is grounded out, struck out. Tying run at third base, Santiago, nobody out. Way outside, 2-0. Chop to short, Cabrera to Kipnis. There's one on to first. Not in time. And the Tigers have tied the game.
Just wasn't hit hard enough to where they were able to turn it quick enough. Hunter still hustling down the line and just does beat it out. He will get the RBI. And you see that second hop. Cabrera did everything in his power. Kipnis did too. As it's awfully close at first. But Hunter beats it out, gets the RBI, and we have a 1-1 ball game.
But the hit batter for Ramon Santiago on a ball that looked like he had offered at on a bunt attempt, that proves to be costly here as he comes around with the game's first run for Detroit. And we're tied at 1 as Cabrera drives one to deep center field. BOURN back is going to play it off the wall. Coming around third, Torrey Hunter with the go-ahead run. He will score 2-1 Tigers as Cabrera lumbers into second base with an RBI double.
Well, they wanted to run the heater in, and he didn't get it in. The second time they went at Cabrera with that fastball, and it stayed, on a good part of that plate. He rocketed it off the center field wall. Hunter off and running on the crack of the bat, knowing it was over the head of BOURN. Scores easily. Cabrera, his 100th RBI, and his 21st double.
Prince Fielder has walked and grounded into a fielder's choice tonight. Looks at a ball down and in. Detroit with 2 here in the 5th to take the lead. Hit hard to first, backhanded by Swisher. He'll go to the bag for out number 2. The countdown is on. 11 more days until America's new 24-hour sports network. Fox Sports 1 will be your home for live sports, news, highlights, and shows that only Fox can bring you. America's new sports network is Fox Sports 1, coming August 17th. Now Victor Martinez, who walked earlier, grounded out his last time up. Got a runner at third and 2 down. Martinez on the year when it comes to batting with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. A .232 average. That hit him.
Yeah, it did. Another one. Another breaking ball down and in, and that hurts.
Martinez is in agony right now.
I don't know if that got him on the ankle. That might have got him on the ankle. Because, yes, he is in pain. That's how this inning started. But Santiago went to bunt the ball. It got him in the back knee. This one might have gotten Martinez on the ankle.
The only thing I'm wondering, Rick, ankle or potentially one of those surgically repaired knees. You know, Victor had that microfracture knee surgery. Let's take another look where this ball hit him exactly. Foot, ankle.
Looked like right on the foot. Foot towards the ankle. It was low. It was low, and you could see him hobbling. Masterson got on the way. There's a little different angle right there. See it?
I think you're right. I think it's right on the ankle.
Well, he sure is hobbling like it. And that's what they're looking at right now as I look down on the field.
Slow to get up. Now the question is, will he stay in the game? He's trying to get some blood flowing in that foot. Looks like he's going to stay in there. And he will. Just nailed him right on the foot, right maybe just below the ankle. Second hit batter of the inning. And now 2 on, 2 out for Don Kelly, who is already 2 for 2 tonight off Justin Masterson.
Boy, out of the 6 hitters that Detroit has sent to the plate here in the 5th, they've seen only 10 pitches. Doesn't seem like it, does it?
Well, they're getting after him early, or he's hitting him early.
Well, he's hit 2 in the inning. The Cabrera hit came on a first pitch. Jackson's base hit was on the first pitch, hit and run.
I think Hunter's was on the second or third. Don Kelly looks at a strike. Ooh, I don't know what was wrong with that. Called a ball, 1-1 to count. Drilled deep right field. Goodbye. Don Kelly continues his mastery of Justin Masterson. A 2-out, 3-run homer. It's a big inning for the Tigers, and they lead it 5-1.
That's the second 3-run home run that Kelly has hit off Justin Masterson this year. And I think the other time it came in the 6th inning. But, boy, he got one up and he turned on it. Now, Kelly has been hitting the low pitch off Justin. They want to go up and in, and look at it. It's middle in, and he turned on it. It was belled high, and he hits it into the seats in right field, and it makes it a 5-1 ball game. A big inning here for the Tigers in the 5th.
Alex Avila, a swing and a miss. He's the 8th man to bat in the inning now for the Tigers. The last time Masterson faced Detroit, They got him for 6 runs in 4 2/3 innings. Tonight, now 5 runs in 4 2/3 innings. 1-2 the count. That's in the gap. Right center field, cut off by Rayburn. Now Veland's got a base hit. 4th hit in the inning. And the 9th man to bat will be Jose Iglesias. Well, that proverbially for the has been the just sucked the air out of this place.
Well, the 2 hit batters in the inning, 4 hits for the Tigers. And boy, they did it on a few number of pitches as this inning was set up. But a 5-run inning, it sure will take the starch out of the crowd. Look at Kelly. I mean, he is unbelievable against Masterson in his career. Both home runs coming this year, both of them 3-run home runs. 5 for 7.
Jose Iglesias is 0 for 2 on the night. And the Tigers shortstop with a runner at first base breaks his bat, bounces it up the middle. Cabrera once again shovels it to Kipnis to end the inning. Damage done. Detroit with a 5 spot in the 5th, and they lead it by 4. Well, the Tigers now lead it 5-1 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. The Indians had a 1-0 lead until the top half of this frame. So now it's time to get the hitting shoes on and go to work against Justin Verlander, who seems to have been getting better, though. Since the Indians scored their only run tonight, he's retired 9 in a row.
Well, that's okay. I mean, there's still plenty of game left. They had a big inning. Now you've got to just gradually get back into this one. Get some base runners, get them out of the stretch again.
Carlos Santana bounced into a fielder's choice. That was ultimately the play that led to the Tribe's first run of the game. One ball, one strike.
Well, so far Verlander hasn't walked anybody, and that's what you hope for. You hope you get that pitch count up a little bit. That's 59, and he's entering the 5th inning. Not bad for him. But I've noticed that since that 2nd inning, a lot of heaters. Working the fastball most of the time.
There's a breaking ball in the dirt. 2-2 the count. Verlander for so many years has been the unquestioned, undisputed ace of the Tigers staff. But this year he may still hold the title, but it's Max Scherzer who's getting all the ink.
Well, rightfully so.
Slowly chopped back to the mound. Verlander will throw him out, 1 away.
Well, bring the whole family out for KeyBank Kids Fun Day each and every Sunday home game. There are plenty of activities out on the plaza for the kids, and they get to run the bases after the ball game. It's presented by Cleveland Clinic. Log on to Indians.com for your tickets.
Max Scherzer, who has a 16-1 record and an ERA of under 3, will pitch the series finale against Zach McAllister Thursday night. Ryan Rayburn, an RBI groundout, is only time up. And a strike is called. 1-1 the count for Rayburn. Threw it by him. Good heat, 98 miles an hour, and it's 2-2. If there's anything Justin Verlander has done well tonight, it's he has thrown his fastball. He has thrown it with incredible velocity, and he's thrown it up in the strike zone past hitters.
That's the difference for me. He's thrown more fastballs, and you're right. He's challenging the hitters, and that's something he used to do all the time.
Wow, 99. That gives him 4 strikeouts on the night. 2 down in the inning. Back to the studios for an in-game update with Al Pawlowski.
Matt, Rick in Kansas City tonight. James Shields struggling early against the Minnesota Twins. Here in the first inning, Justin Morneau, a 2-run homer, his 11th of the year. The Twins scored 3 in the top of the first, so they lead at 3-0. They're down the top of the second at the K. Matt?
Thanks, Al. 2 down for Chisenhall. Lonnie fouled out on the only pitch he saw in the second inning. Popped up right in front of the Indians' dugout. The 1-1 pitch. You know, it happens even to pitchers with great stuff. You know, we heard about it from a lot of people with regards to Sam McDowell, who had an amazing fastball. But pitchers will fall in love from time to time with their off-speed pitches, want to trick hitters and all that. Sometimes you just got to go back to basics, and that appears to be what Verlander has done here tonight.
Now you see there's a good changeup right there, but now he can change the eye level. Chisenhall swung at that, see if he comes back with the high fastball. When you're throwing 96, 97, 98, why not?
Yeah, when you establish that, it makes that changeup unhittable.
Going with a breaking ball.
The count is full for Lonnie Chisenhall. Out of play. Fought the fastball off. And he'll see yet another pitch. Just over 70 pitches on the night for the Tigers right-hander. And the payoff pitch. Blooped foul ground. Cabrera's got it. That's 12 in a row set down by Verlander as the Indians go in order once again. After 5, it's 5-1 Tigers.
Well, we'll wrap up this series with the Tigers on Thursday night. And you want to come out to the ballpark. Scherzer's pitching against the Indians. It'll also be Dollar Dog night. Hot dogs will be just $1 all night long. Buy early and save. Get your tickets at Indians.com.
Justin Masterson will pitch the 6th inning. He'll face Ramon Santiago. It was a close pitch. Masterson threw inside. Santiago had squared the bunt. I thought it looked like he had offered. The umpire said he didn't. It hit him on the leg. He took his base, and the Tigers boat raced Masterson after that. And they did it in a hurry. Let's go back and look at it.
Odd ball, no question. It got him on the knee. I didn't think he went at it. He went out to bunt it, and once he squared around, he couldn't get out of the way.
The 0-2. Weekly bounce towards second base. Kipnis flips it over, one away. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Ryan Rayburn delivering the Indians' only run on an RBI ground out in the 2nd inning. It stayed that way until the 5th. Miguel Cabrera launched a double. The straightaway center field, giving Detroit the lead, and then Don Kelly a 2-out, 3-run homer to make it 5-1. Austin Jackson rips one out of play. I guess in a lot of ways it's not that surprising that the Tigers jumped on Masterson as quickly as they did. When you face him, generally, you have to be aggressive because he doesn't walk a lot of guys anymore. And even though he did walk the first 2 in the second inning, you don't want to get down on the count against him.
Well, no. When you're down 0-2 on a count to Justin Masterson, hitters are hitting 0.98. When you're down 1-2, they're hitting 126. So as a hitter, you don't want to get to 2 strikes. So you are going to be more aggressive earlier. So he has to throw quality pitches.
2 down in the inning as he strikes out Jackson looking. That's his 5th strikeout, first since the 3rd inning. And it brings up Torrey Hunter.
You know, they almost had the double play with Hunter. It was close at first base. If they could have got that, that would have given them the 1 run, and you get 2 outs and bases empty.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way. He hustled down the line, still got down there. He just didn't hit it hard enough for Cabrera and Kipnis to turn it.
Good pitch. Had him bailing, and the count 1-2. Justin Verlander has been in command tonight, save the 1 run the Indians have scored against him. And now that Detroit has handed him a 4-run lead, we'll see how far he can run with that tonight. The 2-2. Chopped up the middle. Cabrera unloads. Got him. A 1-2-3 6th inning for Masterson. And now the Indians down 4 will come to bat in the bottom of the 6th against Verlander. Yan Gomes will lead off the bottom of the 6th here for the Tribe. Gomes popped up his first time up, takes a breaking ball for a strike. Hit him. And the Indians get their leadoff man aboard. That snaps a string of 12 in a row retired by Verlander.
Well, you need a base runner. Now you can get him back out of the stretch.
Let's get the answer to the AT&T trivia question right now. Who's the last guy, Rick, to get to 3,000 hits with less than 500 punch-outs?
Well, I thought you had to go back a way, so my guess was not right.
Tony
should have
Gwynn.
known better because he could put the ball in play. He didn't miss many.
Missed up high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Michael Bourn trying to get it rolling for the Tribe now as he takes. And a strike is called. It's 1-2. A little bit low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, maybe if they can scratch out a couple off Verlander, or at least run that pitch count up and get into the bullpen. They can maybe change the course of the game. The 2-2 is driven to center field. Jackson comes in. He didn't make the catch. He throws to second, not in time. He short hopped it. And now the Indians have 2 on with nobody out here in the 6th inning.
Good thing that thing fell. I thought Jackson was going to come in and make a play. For the second time tonight, Bourn hit a ball where the first time up, Hunter tried to take him, didn't get it, short hopped, and this guy comes a little bit closer. He scoops it up and short hopped him. He kept coming, kept it in front of him, but you can see it short hops. So now Gomes can move up. They have first and second, and a good start to this inning. This is an inning you have to get on the board.
Absolutely. Nick Swisher, the batter, 0 for 2. He takes over the outside corner for a strike.
That's a good pitch. Change up first pitch, and that thing was moving away. Excellent spot.
Swisher trying to snap an 0 for 13. There's a high fly ball. Right field. Back is Hunter. Still going back on the track. Makes the catch. Tagging at second and going to third is Gomes. 1 out in the inning. Boy, he just missed. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. On this date back in 1999, there's number 3000 by Tony Gwynn. Whoa. If you look closely in the celebration video afterwards, you'll see Carlos Baerga, who was one of Tony Gwynn's teammates in 1999 on that Padres ball club. There's Baerga with the jacket on. First and third, 1 out. Jason Kipnis 0 for 2 is the batter, and he hits one high and foul out of play. Bourn takes off for second, pitches down low, the throw not in time.
I like that as well.
His 17th stolen base on the year. And the Indians have 2 now in scoring position for Kipnis.
He took off. You can't stand pat. They throw through. And he steals it. So now base hit will get you 2.
And that puts Kipnis down on the count of 1-2. Back out of play.
Jason, his last at bat, although he did go down with a strikeout, he fouled off about 3 or 4 good fastballs, but what he did, he elevated them. And then he got him with a low heater, low tracer on the outside corner that he took. So in the last at bat, he stayed all fastballs to get him.
Down in the dirt, Avila with a good block. Evens the count. Key spot in the game right here for the Indians. They've got second and third, 1 out, down 4. Have to come away with some runs here.
Base hit, you're right back in the game.
2-2.
Yep.
Kipnis out looking.
Came back with the breaking ball this time.
2 down in the inning. 5th strikeout for Verlander.
Nasty pitch. What are you going to do, man? Uncle Charlie right there. After throwing the fastball, he threw him one down and in like a little slider. He came back with a curveball to get him this time. So it was a fastball last time, curveball that time. Now it's going to take a big 2-out base hit by Cabrera.
And Asdrubal is 1 for 2 on the night. He rocketed a double to right field his first time up. Struck out swinging in the 4th. Curveball missed outside. Upstairs, 2-0. Gomes at third, Bourne at second with 2 down. And Cabrera sitting pretty with a 2-0 count. Takes, and that is a called strike. 99 miles an hour. Verlander reaching back now.
Well, this is his out. Even though he has first base open, he's going to go at Cabrera hard. But the guy on deck has had a lot of success against him, so he wants to get Cabrera. He's not going to mess around here and just, pitch around him because first base open. He wants to get Cabrera right here. He went at him with a 2-0 heater, but it was 99.
The 2-1. Now you're looking fastball, you get fastball, but at 98, it's still tough to hit. Now the 2-2 pitch. Weekly rolled to second base, and the inning is over. The Indians strand a pair, and after 6, it's still Detroit 5, Cleveland 1. By Panini's with 18 locations in Northeast Ohio. And by Levin. Our Panini Cam look brought to you by Panini's Bar and Grill. The Indians down 5-1 as we go to the 7th inning. Justin Masterson will start the 7th with Mark Zepchinski in the bullpen if needed. Masterson 89 pitches on the night. All 5 runs coming in the 5th inning.
Yeah. The big inning.
2 hit batters, both came around to score. The 2-out 3-run homer by Don Kelly, the killer.
You know, it's the first time that Cabrera's taken a pitch tonight. 3 at-bats, 3 pitches.
He didn't wait long. That one's out of play, though. And the count 0-2. Struck him out. 1 away. 6 strikeout for Masterson. Tonight on Training Camp Daily, who will see action in Thursday's preseason opener? Jim Donovan sits down with defensive tackle Phil Taylor, plus Doug Deacon, Tony Grossi. It's all tonight at 11:30 on Sports Time Ohio. Prince Fielder is 0 for 2 with a walk. That's down low. Muscles that one into center field, and Michael Bourn goes down to a couple of knees to make the catch.
Talk about a knuckleball going out there. Look at, he's telling him over there that thing was bouncing all over the place. You come in and I guarantee, look at, he thinks he has it, and then all of a sudden that thing starts going down. Look at him. Hey, man, that's a knuckleball.
Two down now for Victor Martinez. Martinez has walked. He's also been hit by a pitch, and he has scored a run. Detroit is 9 outs away from their 10th straight win. Their 9-game winning streak, currently their longest since they won 12 in a row in September of 2011. Foul away, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, if that rotation gets on a roll like they have been, they're very capable of running off streaks like that because they have 5 quality starters.
I think most people who follow baseball know anything about the Tigers. They've been surprised they haven't gotten on a roll like this until now.
Right.
That it's taken them this long.
You know, when you look at their lineup and they score runs because they're.
Oh, what a backhanded
nice
pick by
backhand.
Asdrubal Cabrera. That ball was scorched by Victor Martinez. But Justin Masterson, trying to finish strong, has retired 7 in a row. But the Tribe trails it by 4 as we've reached the 7th. 5-1 Detroit as we go down to the bottom of the 7th inning. Michael Brantley will lead it off, then Carlos Santana. Ryan Rayburn due third. Off-speed pitch, a little bit outside, ball 1. Fastball up and away. Upstairs, but Brantley fouls it right back.
Yeah, he's not going to spot him that 2-0 fastball he was looking for. Had a good swing at it and fouled it back. This has been a different Verlander tonight than we've seen from the other 3 starts he has made against the Indians. And the reason why, I think he's thrown his fastball more tonight. Not as many changeups and breaking balls. He's challenged the hitters and challenged them early. As he was, after they had him out of the stretch, the leadoff hitter Michael BOURN, and then in the 2nd inning, the leadoff double when they come around to score. He started turning up the dial a little bit earlier.
Fouled back again. Bruce Rondon, the right-hander, Drew Smiley, the lefty, both getting loose in the Detroit bullpen. Swung out and missed. That's 6 strikeouts for Verlander. And 1 down in the 7th.
Yeah, he has been awfully good tonight. Justin Verlander. He has gone at it with the heat. There it is. A low tracer right there. A high fastball to get Cabrera. Another high fastball to get Rayburn. Then he locked up Kipnis the 2nd time around after he got him with a fastball with the curveball. So he has not messed around tonight, folks.
Carlos Santana 0 for 2. He looks at a 98-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike as Verlander now has reached the 100 pitch mark on the evening.
12 swings and misses tonight.
Big curveball hit to first. Fielder scoops it up. And with the flip, there are 2 down here in the 7th. This season, one lucky fan will get a chance to join the Fox Sports Girls Fantasy Football League. Enter now at foxsports.com/fantasy draft for your chance to win a trip to LA for the live draft and compete against the Fox Sports Girls this season. Two down for Ryan Rayburn. Verlander pumps and fires, and a fastball at 96, a little bit low. Chop foul. Upstairs, and that time Rayburn lays off the heat. almost half of his pitches has been the good old reliable
Numero
express.
uno.
Yeah.
Look
Breaking
at that.
ball, got him looking. Lord Charles, 7th strikeout of the night for Verlander. The Indians go 1-2-3. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. Left-hander Mark Zepchinski coming on for the 3rd time this year. No wins or losses. He's worked an inning and a third since being acquired by the Indians. He'll be facing Don Kelly, Alex Avila, and Jose Iglesias.
And one bad inning for Justin Masterson, and that was the 5th. Couple of hit batters, a couple of singles, a home run, and a double. A 3-run home run by Kelly did all the damage again.
Zepchinski's pitch misses for ball 1.
Out of the 14 games they played against the Tigers have homered 18 times. They've hit 11 in this ballpark.
Hit to third, Lonnie Chisenhall throws him out, 1 away.
And you're going to see 2 of those 18 that they've hit, both off the bat of Don Kelly. Both of them 3-run home runs, both of them off Justin Masterson. One was a slider in Detroit. This one was a fastball up tonight. And both of them, that one in Detroit broke a 1-1 tie. It was 2-1 Detroit there, made it a 5-1 game.
Well, if you go back to last year, the Tigers have won 13 of the last 17 against the Indians, and including tonight, they've outscored them 109-62.
There you have it.
Swung on and missed. A 1-ball, 2-strike count. Strikes him out, 2 down. Good pitching by Zepchinski. 2 up, 2 down. Let's get a look at our in-game box score from your local Hyundai dealers. Miguel Cabrera, 2 for 4, drove in a run with a double, but the big blast, the 2-out, 3-run homer by Don Kelly, who went 3 for 3 off Masterson tonight. Jose Iglesias takes a strike. Breaking ball called a strike, and the count 0-2. Down in the dirt. Strikes him out, inning over. Bottom of the 8th coming up, 5-1 Detroit. (5-1) Detroit on top as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Stay tuned after the ball game for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. The highlights, analysis, and reaction from the players, the manager. It's all coming up after the game. Lonnie Chisenhall will lead off for the Indians, then Jan Gomes and Michael Bourn. Justin Verlander stays in the ball game. There was activity in the Detroit bullpen. He's at 107 pitches on the night. But he is cruising. He's retired 6 in a row. After the Indians had their first 2 on, nobody out in that 6th inning and a chance to maybe cut into the lead. And he retired the side 1-2-3 and then 1-2-3 in the 7th.
In only 3 starts this year has Verlander gone just less than 100 pitches. So he's no stranger to this.
Left field over near the line, Don Kelly makes a running catch. 1 away. Looking back at our keys to the game, courtesy of Akron Children's Hospital. Well, not much goes right when you're on the short end of the score like this. Masterson pitching deep into the ball game. Well, he gave you 7 innings. He had 1 bad inning. But unfortunately, it was bad enough that Verlander has been able to make it stand up. Yan Gomes popped up and was hit by a pitch. Another weak pop-up and another out, 2 down. Top of the order, Michael Bourn. Now Verlander, who has been searching for it at times this year. And again, I think a guy like Verlander, because of what he's accomplished, you know, there's a little more scrutiny on him.
But he set the bar a little high.
But he's had some ugly games this year. He's given up 7 runs, 6 runs, 5 runs, 8 runs.
Yeah, he's been human.
But he still has it. And the ability to do that, 97 miles an hour, and spot it. He went up against Texas, went 7 innings, 1 hit, shutout baseball. He's had a couple of games where he struck out 12, struck out 13.
Well, he's been great tonight.
He's been great when the Tigers needed him to great. 6 pitches, and the side is retired in order. Gone 8, and it looks like his night's over. 112 pitches. Today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. Matt Albers coming on now for the Indians. Albers for the 35th time this year. We mentioned at the top of our telecast tonight a very disappointing and unfortunate bit of news for the Tribe. Corey Kluber placed on the 15-day disabled list prior to tonight's game, but it looks like it'll be probably at least a month for Kluber. A sprained finger on his pitching hand, similar to the injury that knocked Zach McAllister out for almost 6 weeks. So the Indians will be without Kluber for a while. They did call up Matt Langwell. He was on his way from Columbus to Cleveland, and they were hopeful that he would get here in time for tonight's game. But Danny Salazar will make tomorrow's start for the Indians in the 3rd of 4 games in this series, and then it's believed Salazar will stay in the rotation and take the spot of Corey Kluber. Salazar's only start at the big league level this year was dynamite when he dominated Toronto. But boy, is he going to be in a tough spot tomorrow night.
Well, for him, just come out and do what he did the last time. Throw strikes and see what happens. Keep your team in the game.
Hopefully the Indians still have some magic left in them tonight. But they haven't shown any to this point. Down 5-1.
Well, Justin Masterson has taken all the magic out.
Well, Justin Verlander has.
I mean
sure.
Verlander.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. One of the Justins.
You see Joaquin Benoit, the Detroit closer, getting loose.
Indians started the game out 3 for 5.
Bare hand grab and a throw, and they got him. Nice play by Asdrubal Cabrera to retire Santiago. He had to go to the bare hand. He had no time to spare, and he made a perfect throw to Swisher to get him.
This will go B.R. McDonald's. I'm loving it. Very nice. On the short hop, too, mind you. He had to get down there with the bare hand and make the play. Didn't go to the glove. Comes up, clean throw, and the stretch, and they get Santiago. Nice play.
Austin Jackson, 1 for 4 on the night. 2 for 9 in the series. And a fastball strike at the knees, 1-1 to count. At the knees again. Good fastball gets him ahead of the count, 1-2. Hit on the ground is short as Asdrubal Cabrera. This time uses the glove the conventional way, 2 down. And up comes Torrey Hunter. Good fastball, threw it by Hunter. And Albers looks sharp here tonight. His last time out against Miami, he had one of those dreadful outings you just as soon forget about. But bouncing back, throwing the ball well here tonight. Down low, 1-1.
Yeah, the thing about the bullpen, when you have one like he had his last outing, you want to get back out there and pitch well. Get that feeling back. You're right. You get 7 hits in an inning. You want to get back out there. It's a bad outing.
Down low. 2 balls and a strike. Fastball, nailed the spot, and the count 2-2. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th, it'll be Swisher, Kipnis, and Cabrera coming up for Cleveland. And the 2-2 is a little bit in off the plate. Did he go at it? No, says first base umpire Chris Guccione. Close, but he was able to hold up. Full count now. The payoff pitch. Weekly tap to second base. And the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. 5-1 Tigers. Bottom of the ninth inning. A reminder to stay tuned after the ball game for Indians Live, courtesy of Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. We've got the highlights, some analysis. We'll hear from the players and the manager. What went wrong here tonight? Well, it was one bad inning for Justin Masterson, where he hit two batters. They both came around to score. A three-run homer off the bat of Don Kelly. That was all the damage for Detroit, all in one inning here tonight. The Indians, though, have only managed one run tonight, and that came way back in the second. Finally, Justin Verlander's out of the ball game, but he went 8 strong tonight for the Tigers. Jose Veras, one time with the Indians. He's bounced back because when he was here, he was not good.
Yeah, he's been with a number of teams. He's been around. You've got a new third baseman now. Santiago goes over to third. Perez goes in the ball game to second.
Nick Swisher will lead off the ninth for the Indians, 0 for 3. Swisher will fly ball to deep left. Back is Kelly on the track. Jumps up and makes the catch. One away. Kind of lost track maybe of where he was at exactly.
You can tell he didn't feel comfortable. He was feeling for that wall when he was still on the grass. Normally you feel the track and you've got a couple of steps to go, especially if you're on the run. But the bottom line, catch the ball.
Jason Kipnis 0 for 3. Swing and a miss. The 1-1 is a foul at the plate by Jason. Veras takes a look in.
Tried to go back door around, must have been around the plate. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Coming back with it.
Strikes him out. 2 down.
Came back with the breaking ball. He tried to throw one outside that missed and wrapped around, but this one was for a strike, and you can see Kipnis was out in front. So the Indians down to their last out.
As Dribble Cabrera doubled back in the second inning, he has struck out, grounded out since then. And a ground ball to first, that'll do it. The Tigers have taken the first 2 of the series as they win in convincing fashion here tonight by a final score of 5-1. The Tigers have now won 10 in a row, and they've opened up a 5-game lead in the American League Central Division as the Indians fall to 62 and 51 on the year. Detroit is 66 and 45. Time now for our key play of the game. It's brought to you by KeyBank.
Well, you go to that 5th inning, and it's going to be that one pitch. Justin Masterson to Don Kelly, the 3-run home run that goes up into the seats. Second one he has hit off from this year. This one a fastball. That made it a 5-1 ball game, and that is all they needed. That is going to be our key play of the game. You get a free Kindle Fire HD.
The executive producer of Sports Time Ohio is Tom Farmer. Tonight's game was directed by Pat Murray, directed by Jim Murphy. The coordinating producer of Indians baseball is Steve Warren. Indians Live produced by Mike Bachman. Associate producers Mike Pachta and Steve Bardo. Technical director Dan Larson. Creative consultant Mark Koha. Our final score is 5-1. Stay tuned for Indians Live. It's coming up next.